I saw someone in the comments the other day talking about how they were going to get into investing soon and have been meaning to, but it's been pretty volatile lately. So they're going to wait for it all to calm down a little bit and then they will get into it. And I thought, brother, did you see what happened in 2025? And in the prior years? But a very good example of it where I think we can time this perfect nirvana of when we will do all this amazing action and it just will work out perfectly.
Yeah, it's people's thinking that they can time the market, understand what's going to happen next, or up means it continues to go up, like property in 2021, right? The FOMO and people going, I got to go and buy that extra property. Or when the share market dropped during COVID and going, I'm going to move to cash now because I'm worried about what's going to happen next. And the data is very straightforward with the share market. If you miss the best 10 days to trade each year, your return halves. And there's no way of knowing based off the previous day whether the next day is going to be up or down.
Yeah, I think the thing that stood out for me when I started trying to get myself to be this person that would take action rather than trying to time it perfectly is that even if you do get it perfect, you can still look back and there'll be something else that you could have done. So it may be that you finally started investing into the S&P 500 in 2025, let's say, and you think, well, I had an amazing year, but then someone comes along and goes, oh, well, I just brought into Rocket Lab, so the S&P 500 sucks. And there's always going to be someone that will compare what they've done to what you've done to then tell you that it wasn't any good.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're actually doing something, I think, is the win, because then if you stay consistent with that for a longer period of time, then you will increase your likelihood that you will be happy with the choices that you're making.
Some Rocket Lab shares at $3 though.
Would have been titled. I don't have any.
Yeah, look, you would have sold them at 6 though, right?
Yeah, well, good point.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, like the big thing when it comes to like, I guess, when it comes to making these decisions is people talk about compounding returns, right? And go like, yep, my money will double over 10 years. The longer and longer I do financial planning, we don't talk enough about compounding actions. And actually that if I do this thing, I learn from it so I can maybe make a more like kind of informed decision about what comes next. I'm in a financial position where I can start that business or take some time off work or buy that next property or do whatever it is, opposed to just like, money builds. I actually think it's even more exponential than compounding returns because you become a different person as you start to experience different investment decisions and your financial knowledge starts to grow and you can think in a whole different stratosphere. It's just like, everybody's far too short-sighted. We overestimate what we can do in 6 months. We underestimate what we can do in a decade.
I think as we take action, we then learn more, get some lessons, maybe even get punched in the face, but that then makes the decision-making framework faster the next time. And I think that's where you see people that do really well winning a lot, is that they are willing to make decisions and do them quickly because it's not the first time that they've done it. So, probably in your space as well, it would be, I'm sure buying that 10th rental property would be a lot different to buying the first one for a client, or, investing the next lot of amount would be very different to the first lot of investments.
Yeah, we joke that like, dealing with a $50 client is far harder to do than a $10 million client. I'm sure it's the same within your world, right? Because of just the knowledge, the experience, understanding risk. I mean, we talk about the risk of doing things. We don't talk nearly enough about the opportunity costs of not doing things. In a lot of the presentations we do, we have this study where we talk about 5 different investing styles over time, where you invest $2,000 into the share market each year over 20 years into the S&P 500. And there's options from like perfect timing every year to you pick the worst time to invest 20 years in a row, which is statistically impossible. If you pick the worst time to invest 20 years in a row, you are still 3 times better off over the long term than sticking in cash. That people go, I'm going to wait for that next perfect moment, or I need to understand something better, or I need to become an expert before I pull the trigger. And you just end up in the exact same spot. And it actually makes it way harder. You got to save so much more money.
And is that because of inflation, basically? That they then end up, they stay in cash and then they get beaten up by inflation?
Yeah, they're going backwards.
Yeah.
They're going, because 100% when you're like, when you're investing into the share market, you're growing, but people talk about a 10% return each year in compounding. Nobody's making a 10% return because you got to take off fees, tax, and inflation. Your real return's probably something more like 4%. While that might sound depressing, do you know what's worse? -1 or -2. So 4 is better than that.